Hello, I'm Don Hartley, and I'm also remembered and known as the Catholic Defender. And I'm here today. We're here at the Fort Hood 1st Cav Division Museum. What you see behind me is just a mural of a painting of what it was like in Iraq, which I served in Iraq multiple times. And so a lot of this, you see the Black Hawk, you see the medical, you see just this imagery. So just this museum is an outstanding example, memorial for what we've done in Iraq. And for this whole museum is throughout all the military. But I was just speaking specifically today. I wanted to remember early this morning as I woke up, when I turned on the news this morning, I heard of the occasion of a helicopter crash this morning. I believe 7 soldiers were killed, and so we wanted to remember those soldiers. Training, sometimes we have catastrophes and we have accidents, and so when you're dealing with helicopter maneuver training, sometimes we have this happen. On April the 10th, 1986, I was stationed at Fort Stewart, Georgia, and I was with the 3rd Support Battalion, and I was in the medical battalion. And one evening they were doing midnight maneuvers. You had a Black Hawk and a Chinook that collided doing midnight maneuvering, infrared training, and they collided. And we were among the first medics on the scene. And so we had a number of soldiers that were killed as a result of this helicopter crash. And so what happened for me was that being out there on the scene, you know, we were out there wearing our uniforms, my boots, my BDUs, everything that I was wearing that day had to be totally destroyed. I had to throw it away because this happened in the swamps there at Fort Stewart, right there, just not too far from the housing, one of the housing areas at Fort Hood, or Fort Stewart. And with the situation that took place, the helicopter crash, it went right into the woods, right into the swamps. And we had to wade through the swamps 100 yards to get to the crash. And we had to park our ambulances 100 yards away to where we can back up, where we had to carry the soldiers who had died through the swamp-infested, JP4 infested swamp. I had sores on my legs for weeks after that as a result of wading through that. You could have lit a match and it could have just set everything off on fire. And so we had to go through the wreckage. It was one of the hardest things that you have to do as a medic. And we had to carry the bodies out of that wreckage. And we had to carry it through that JP4 swamp and out of the woods and to where we could get them to the ambulances so we could take them to the morgue. And it was a tragedy. And the only thing that I could do at that point in time as we were carrying them out of there was to pray. I would be praying the rosary. I would be praying for these soldiers. That was all we could do, and tried to offer them the greatest and highest respect. And that's what happened. Now this was April 10th, 1986. Years later, I'm sitting in Iraq. I'm just coming in off of, actually out of a mission, and the Catholic board, Defenders of the Catholic Faith, with Steve Ray, his message board, which I was a very strong part of, still am, but back in those days, much more so. They were very huge support for me while I was in Iraq. And I had written a story about the events that took place on April 10th, 1986, with my autobiography that the Archdiocese of New Orleans had asked me to do. Representatives of the diocese had asked me to do a autobiography about all the different signs and things that were taking place with my faith and military background. And so what was very, very interesting when I came home from a mission was they were trying to get a hold of me because an individual who had stumbled on Steve Ray's message board and was reading his conversions, which my autobiography, The Rough Draft, is in his conversion stories. And this individual was reading into that. And he came across, which was like page 86 of this autobiography, where he stumbled in on the story of what was taking place, or what took place on that day as we were taking these soldiers out. And it turned out that this individual who read upon this and stumbled on this 20-some years later, it was one of his brothers that was one of the ones that was killed in this car crash, or in this helicopter crash. And so what a powerful story this meant to him, knowing that there was somebody on site of this helicopter crash that was there praying for his brother, even though it was 20-some years later. And so in memory of that helicopter crash, in line with what happened today with the helicopter crash today, and how sad and tragic that was, we just wanted to remind everyone to please pray for our military, to pray for those who are serving our country, that even though they may not be in the Middle East or in a war zone, when we're training, sometimes accidents happen. And for a medic, even though it's training, for us it's always real world missions. And so, and it's important to always place God first, to pray for this, pray for our country, and to pray for our soldiers who are out there at the tip of the spear. And so we're going to move forward, and as we do, we just wanted to say thank you for all that, for supporting us, and God bless you. Thank you.